Today on the podcast, we're talking local music, North Kansas City, and Mount SmokeMore. This is the Kansas City Podcast. Welcome to the Kansas City Podcast. My name is Cole Limberg, your host with the most. How about that pot roast? Many of you know me from the buffet line at Ponderosa Steakhouse, and if not, it's nice to meet you. You know, each week here on the Kansas City Podcast, we speak with a one-of-a-kind Kansas City native for a conversation on life in the city of fountains. What do you think of that tagline?
That's a good tagline.
You like it?
We're real proud of our fountains
I'm proud of the tagline, and Kansas City is proud of the fountains. Ladies and gentlemen, here on the show with me today, I have a very special guest. He is a booker. He is a stagehand. He's a sound runner. He's a Swiss Army man, a man of all, I don't even know. You do it all. You do it all, basically, for a new venue that is opening up in North Kansas City. Well, it's open.
Yes,
it's open now.
It's open.
It's down in North Kansas City at 314 Armour Road. I'm here at the Rino. I'm actually here at the Rino right now. I've taken a look around. I jumped on the stage. It was beautiful. It was exciting. There's a lot of activity going on around here. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Ben Wendt. Ben, how are you, sir?
Hey, the internet. How's it going? I am wonderful. Thank you so much for having me, Cole.
No. I'm glad that you're here. Not only saying hello to the internet, remember you say hi to the people of Kansas City as well. You know,
they
and
have the
all
internet.
over the world, all the Kansas Cityans
general,
all over
some
the
of the
world.
fastest internet thanks to Google Fiber.
That is very true.
Yeah.
Good point. That is not a plug. They are not a sponsor yet.
This podcast brought to you by...
Maybe someday, right? So, Ben, we are here in this brand new space. We're here in this brand new venue. It's incredible. It looks gorgeous. There's pretty lights. There's a stage. You've already got bands booked. Tell me about the Rino.
Sure. So,
and I want to make sure it's Rino. The
right.
Rino.
So the Rino, it's a portmanteau of river north.
Is that what portmanteau means?
Portmanteau is when you take two words and just smush them
I thought
together,
it had something to do with a boat.
Ubermidge.
But whatever.
Well, maybe there's a certain boat that is a portmanteau.
So the Rino,
starboard toe. So the Rino is a music venue located north of the river. So we had looked around at all the music venues in the city, ones we liked, found traits that we admired about them, and said, what is a niche that we could carve out that's different from this? And we said, there's nothing like this north of the river. All the coolest venues are south of the river.
You're right.
The Record Bar, the Riot Room, Mini Bar, Green Lady Lounge, all of those are south of the river. And it's ridiculous to decide that a body of water needs to be the cutoff point for where good live music happens.
I do not disagree with that in the slightest.
Yeah,
you know, as a northerner myself, it was always like, hey, where's the place where you go and watch stuff? And like, oh, so you always got to go downtown. But this is a brand new, right here on Armour Road. Yeah. I mean, just right in the heart of North Kansas City.
Absolutely.
And, you know, you and I were talking about this a little bit, that the growth right now of North Kansas City, I mean, there is stuff popping up all over the place right now.
North
There's
Kansas
new
City
things.
is on fire.
It is the place.
Yeah, not literally. I don't mean to concern anybody.
No,
but,
it's good.
I guess it could be. The way podcasts work right now, while someone's listening, it could be on fire.
It could be.
As of recording this, it's not currently literally on fire. But it's blowing up. Again,
no,
not literally.
Literally.
It's expanding rapidly.
Okay, there we go.
And that's undeniable.
Combustion.
There are constantly just cool new businesses popping up. Bars, restaurants, breweries, music venues. A record store just opened up, FM Vintage Music. I'm thrilled about that there is now a record store in my neighborhood.
Right.
It's so fantastic. And as someone who lived north of the river my entire life, I am a Kansas City native, but more specifically a North Kansas City native. It makes me so incredibly happy because I've always had such a passion for this part of the city. I've always known it's beautiful, and there have always been cool little nuggets here and there. But I truly believe that we're a part of a scene that is 3 or 4 years from now going to be an absolute destination for anybody who comes to visit Kansas City, and that anybody in the city is aware of.
So yeah, I mean, as someone that, you know, you've lived in North Kansas City your whole life, basically, what do you think is spawning all this? I mean, there's stuff, I come down here and I drive down here and I go, that's new. That's new. What's going on down here? Is there something in the river?
You know, it could be. It might be fluoride.
Not fluoride.
Pull out your aluminum hats. Let's talk. No, here's what I really do believe in my heart. I believe that it is young entrepreneurs, specifically millennials, who have looked around and seen an opportunity to create, to build.
Right.
They look around North Kansas City, they realize there's these cool old houses, there's this awesome old architecture, and a bunch of just like abandoned warehouses and dentist offices. No, knocking dentists. It's a very important floss your teeth.
Beautiful buildings.
And tax offices and things like that, to be frank, could be located anywhere. They don't need to be located on this beautiful Armour Road or right off Swift, these really cool historic parts of the city, some of the oldest parts of Kansas City. And it's these entrepreneurs who have said, I want to build something worth staying here for. I want to build something worth coming to. And I think a big part of it started with my friends Adam Roberts and Brent Miller when they took over Screenland Armour. They took this really awesome
Screenland
theater.
Armour, awesome theater.
It's an amazing theater, and the building is over 100 years old, or right around there, I believe, and it's been run very well in the past. But when they took over 5 or 6 years ago, I think that was the first domino that fell.
Right.
And they said, we're going to take this theater, and we're going to put in 16 craft beer taps, and we are going to bring in arcade games, and we're going to show weird movies that don't ever get shown anywhere else.
Right.
And I truly believe that that's one of the points that started this ripple effect. I think another big moment was when Kansas City changed its liquor laws and allowed breweries to create smaller batches of liquor and create tap rooms. And immediately after, you saw Cinder Block and Big Rip come in. Those two are major players. And then ever since then, it seems like every 3 or 4 months, you get a new Chicken and Pickle, a Restless Spirits, a Colony Espresso and Beer, a Rhino, and I truly believe it's going to continue to happen until we run out of room, and then I don't know, maybe we'll build up. We can't spread out
go higher, right?
Anymore.
So what's your goal here with the Rhino? I mean, it's a music venue.
Sure.
It's connected to a beautiful coffee shop, which is the
Colony.
The Colony.
Colony Espresso and Beer. Yeah.
So we're connected to the Colony. It's all right here. I mean, we passed through to both sides. I've seen some stuff. It looks like you might have some brews going up in the future, things like that.
Yes, that's correct. I mean, hopefully by the time this gets posted, we will be officially brewing our own beer.
So we're just going to say yes.
Yes. I think yes. Let's be optimistic. It's the future right now, right? So yeah. In the future, and that's where we are because of the magic of science.
Obviously,
and
we're recording this live.
Yeah. Then
you're
then
listening to it. We are sitting in a room right now.
Like you're on a treadmill right now, David, and you're working out.
and we
at
are
the
in
YMCA,
a room. Yes.
David, and we are recording this live straight into your phone. So for the
Davids out there, tell us what's going to set the Rhino apart. What is your goal here?
Good point, Cole. David, what I really want to accomplish.
Thank you, Ben.
There was a venue that was north of the river when I was in high school called Back to Life, and it was located pretty far north in Gladstone on North Oak, and it was unquestionably in my lifetime the most consistent concert venue in Kansas City. They pulled great bands. It was wonderful. It was just a little bit too elaborate. Their floor plan was ridiculous. They had too much space. They had too many amenities they just didn't need to spend money on. And they ran out of money, and they had to close their doors. And what I would like to do is I would like to take the energy of that place that was truly instrumental for me and many of my friends and just shrink it down a little bit. And I believe that's totally possible with the support of Zach Henderson and Drew Cobb, who are the owners of Colony and the Rhino. I truly believe that we can build a venue north of the river that simultaneously proves that the north of the river stands on its own and gets people who live south of the river to come north of the river. One of the big things for me that's just funny, all cities have dividing lines. Kansas City's got a couple, the two biggest ones being Troost and the river.
Right.
And without, diving down that too much politically or whatever, we do tend to segregate ourselves based on where we lie on one of those big dividing lines. It's silly to me that there are so many people who live in the city market area that never come north of the river.
I know, that's
the
crazy.
Rhino is closer to the city market than Westport by about 7 or 8 minutes.
Yeah.
You can bike on a nice day up the Heart of America Bridge from the city market district to the Northtown district.
Yeah.
And I really believe that in putting on high-quality shows with bands who are loved across the entire city and eventually pulling in bands who are loved in the region, that we will give people an excuse to come up north, look around and go, oh my gosh, this is great.
Right.
And then while they're here, then they can go, oh, you know what? I've been meaning to check out Cinder Block Brewery. Oh, wow. they might have the best IPAs in the city. That's amazing. And then they can go to Screenland and realize that that's maybe the coolest movie theater in the city. And I believe the biggest thing holding some people back from visiting Northtown is this just silly line
crossing the river
that has been drawn in the sand, which is crossing the river. And there are multiple bridges, guys. There are multiple bridges.
No, you're lying. There's only one bridge.
The bridges are a lie.
So you're talking about booking bands.
Yes.
You want people, you want Kansas City bands to come here, come to the River North,
right.
come to Rhino. What is for you right now? I mean, you've had a band before. I've been involved in local music before, things like that. What do you think is the state of Kansas City local music right now? It seems to be, in my mind, there's more bands than
ever before.
Yeah.
No, so I have all sorts of crazy theories about this. Some of them are based on just my imagination wandering.
It's Midwestern
and some
angst.
are actually based on studies, economics.
Yeah.
So when sports teams do well, there is objectively a rise in civic pride.
And more babies.
And more babies. That's true. 9 months later, usually.
Exactly.
And that has a ripple effect. That causes voters to vote for more city-minded things, such as increased public transportation, which we've seen recently.
Yes, absolutely.
And it causes a city-wide sense of civic pride. And that ripples out all the way to small businesses popping up. It's absolutely had an impact on Northtown. And I believe that also reaches out to artists as well. I think that right now there are so many bands that are proud to put on their website that they are from Kansas City, because it means a little bit more since the Royals won the World Series, since the Chiefs are competitive, since Sporting KC won the Major League Soccer Cup. I believe that all of that is connected.
There's the city pride.
There is a massive civic pride right now that is just radiating. We're all just feeling the Charlie Hustle vibe.
Right.
And I truly believe that is impacting our art scene positively. And what I want to do is I want to give the artists that I have heard and sometimes discovered on my own, also sometimes discovered via other outlets, radio shows, podcasts, etc. I want to literally give them a stage, a literal platform to share their stuff. And ideally for people who haven't heard it before, because as someone who's been in bands before, the most frustrating thing is when you first start, all your friends are excited and they're supportive and they're awesome and they rule and you love them and they come to your shows. And then they've seen you 4 or 5 times, and they stop coming because who can blame them?
Right.
And then you're playing shows for crowds of 14 people, and 9 of the 14 people are the boyfriends and girlfriends of the band members.
Yeah, I remember those days.
So one thing that I believe is truly an advantage for the Rhino is that there is a great amount of just walk-by traffic in North Kansas City. Something about the city, it reminds me a lot of Lawrence, which is another city I really love, is there are people who literally walk up and down Armour and Swift looking for something to do. And if you can catch their eye, if you can catch their ear, they will come in and check it out. And so one of our big things right now is that on Thursday nights, we're trying really hard to have free shows so that if you're just walking by, you hear some music through the glass and you want to just come in and check out the show, there's no obstacle. And then primarily almost all of our concerts are going to either be $5 or at the very most $7, because we want to set a cover that's not alienating for people on a budget so they can come in and say, they're walking by, they don't know what they're doing. It's Friday night, they see a band on stage, it's only $5 to get in. And then on top of that, a thing that we're doing that I'm incredibly proud of, that this was a big thing that I push for, someone who's been in bands, is that our shows, someplace between 90% and 100% of the door fee goes to the bands. The venue never takes a cut. The only time that there's a cut is if there's a promoter, and then the promoter gets a 10% cut. And there are very few venues in the city that can boast that. And that's not at all me talking trash on other venues. That's just something that it's a liberty that we're able to take because of the fact that we are also an espresso shop and bar and soon-to-be brewery. We have other sources of income that allow us to keep our doors open.
So your goal is you want to just get as many people to come in, experience it, see something new through the door.
Exactly.
I want them here.
I want butts in seats, and I want people to hear music they haven't heard before, and I want bands to play here and go, dude, when was the last time we played a show with 20 people in the audience that had never heard us before? And if that can be our legacy, that would be just an absolute dream come true for me.
Well, and not only that, it sounds like you're also doing, and I remember how difficult it was to go to try to find an open mic night. And you guys are doing open mic nights every Monday.
Every Monday night at 7:30.
So you got an open mic night tonight because we are recording this live.
There we go. Then come out, please. So this is legitimately a dream of mine. And when I was in college in Warrensburg, there was not a lot to do. And there was this one just armpit bar called Bottom Feeder Bay that had a weekly open mic night. Yeah, the aptly named Bottom Feeder Bay. Almost all of the tenants were catfish. And truly, I looked forward every single week to going to Bottom Feeder Bay and going on stage and playing 2 to 3 songs and hanging out with some friends. And I have, since I moved back to Kansas City, I have wanted to find a way to take that feeling and push it to a new level. So every Monday night, I came to Drew and Zach, the owners of Colony and the Rhino, and I said to them, I have this vision, this dream. I want to build a song laboratory. I want to build a song lab that every single week the songwriters of Kansas City know that there is a place they can go and play the new songs they are working on for other musicians they respect and like, and feel like they are going to get constructive criticism to further their actual songwriting, and then simultaneously provided a venue for rookies who desperately want to make music and get on stage to get up on the stage, get some experience, start working on those 10,000 hours, and do it in front of people who have been there, who know how it feels, who know how scary it is.
There is nothing
to just
worse.
Rip your heart out and go, hey, I wrote this song. Check it out.
There's nothing worse than going to open mic night. And I remember when I used to play open mic nights, and they would have all the TV still on in the bar,
right? And
there'd be people just still there drinking, having, and so you'd play a song and no one would listen, no one paid attention,
no one cares.
It's so it hurts your psyche, it hurts your ego, man.
I believe it can actually be counterintuitive and counterproductive for young artists. I believe there are moments where a young artist goes on a stage like that and has an experience that's so negative that it warps their idea of what performing is, and it can actually damage their progress. So I'm a big Hufflepuff. I'm a very proud Badger Pride, Badger Nation. I'm all about.
I don't know what that means, but I do.
Yeah, okay. You're cooler than me.
Yeah.
But so I'm all about just inclusivity. I just I want to create places where people feel warm and welcome, and through our song lab I have just felt, even the short time so far, I've just been absolutely blown away. And the number of people who are coming and responding, I mean, these are some of the best songwriters in the city. I mean, it absolutely blows my mind. I mean, we've had Mess, who are one of my favorite local bands. By the time this posts, we will have just had their EP release show that I'm sure went incredibly well.
It went amazing.
And you guys,
I was there.
Yeah,
it was
and you
so
guys,
fantastic.
Yeah, David, you weren't there, but you should have been. And
you missed out, Dave.
Patrick Robinson from the Atlantic, and Paige Turner, who I think is low-key maybe one of the 3 or 4 best singers in all of Kansas City. Ivory Black, members from American Slim, from the Vic G Trio and Pink Royal. I mean, it's crazy. Some of my absolute favorite bands. Legitimately, people are walking through our door on Monday night and signing up for open mic night, and I'm drooling because I'm oh my gosh, you're here, you're shaking my hand.
Welcome.
You're coming stage, Mike. Sound good? Yes. And
I'm gonna sit back and nerd out. For 15
I'm seriously,
minutes.
I am. I'm just geeking out. It seems silly that I'm getting paid American dollars to do it. Something is wrong. I'm on a really elaborate hidden camera show. But I think we're building something really special and beautiful, and it is going to be contagious. And I think it already is, and it's going to just continue to feel more and more that way, because the vibe and the energy and the positivity, it just permeates in the air. And I just ask of you, if you want to come to any show, Dave or other listener, if you want to come to any show, I suggest more than any of them that you come on a Monday night. It's free.
For open mic night.
It's free. If you play, you get a free drink, which was one of the coolest things we can offer. Is that means coffee, tea, beer, cocktails. It's all over the place. And just come. And if you don't play, come listen, because I guarantee you that 3 or 4 of the people you see in the next 6 months to a year are going to be people being played on the Buzz and on the Bridge regularly. I mean, the people coming through this door just spilling their guts out there, showing off their new material, showing off really interesting creative material. One of my favorites was actually this last open mic night. Ethan Bunt did a cover of "Lucky" by Britney Spears.
Oh wait,
but did it
Britney.
as if it were like a really beautiful, sad Ryan Adams song.
Oh, she's so
and
lucky.
yeah, I mean, it was beautiful and like
she's a star.
painstakingly slow. And so it was like simultaneously sweet and sad and funny.
She
and
cries.
Oh,
not in her lonely heart. Oh God, stop!
Yeah, it was amazing.
I'm gonna tear up.
So no, I mean, I'm proud of everything we're doing, but open mics, the Song Lab, it's what I truly feel like I'm called to it. It feels transcendent.
Well, you're certainly passionate about it.
I might be a little bit.
Just a little bit. So you've got these local bands coming in. Are there plans to, if this continues going well, I mean, are you going to start booking touring bands?
Sure. I mean, we've already had some touring bands, actually. Yeah. And we're looking to do more. We've had 2 or 3 that we came really, really close to. I can't really publicly say, but some bands that have ended up booking gigs at the Riot Room that we almost had. And I think we will establish ourselves well enough that maybe, I don't want to paint ourselves as competitors to the Riot Room, but maybe some of those guys end up with us.
Well, I would say that, I mean, I think you would agree with me too. That's because it seems like there's more and more spaces like the Rhino, and like Riot Room and all those that have kind of, popped up and gone, and some have stayed, but I mean, seems like it keeps growing and growing. I'm seeing more and more and more all the time. So where would you say, I mean, it's been a long time since I've been to the Riot Room, but where would you say that, like, where do you want to fit in this? Do you want to be the top tier? Do you think that you're always going to be booking the local stuff? You think you're going to be trying to get more and more growing? Where do you want this to go in a year from now?
Growth is always great, but for me personally, I have such a deep, prophetic passion for this city that drawing the best local bands and giving local bands a space to really feel like their own will always be priority number 1. Now, if some bands that we really dig are cutting through town and we can book them, that's great. That's Cloud 9. But I think a combination of our location and our space, I think that we will always be trying to get bands on the rise. Yeah. And I think maybe like the coolest thing that could happen as far as a national band would be that, like, that we notice a band that, when we book them, they were one of the and many more for Lollapalooza, you know?
They're the tiny text at the bottom of
the poster. And then we caught them at just the right time. And then their album dropped 2 weeks before they played the gig here. And it's a sold-out show, and we unfortunately have to turn people away, and it is just shoulder to shoulder back.
So I'm thinking in my mind, you're like the place that's going to be, you know what, I remember before they broke big, and before they break bad, before they broke, and I saw them at the Rhino.
Exactly.
And now
I would love to be the place that people go, like, they're seeing a band Starlight, and they turn to their friend and go, like, 2.5 years ago, I actually saw them at the Rhino, and there were, 140 people there. Yeah. And I got to meet the band, and I bought them a drink. That's what I would love to be, that part of other people's stories. That would be phenomenal. But I would also really, I mean, we've already got bands wanting to do their EP and album release shows here, and that for me is also one of the absolute peaks of success. I like Mess. They just did, as we said, their incredibly successful EP release show that just happened that you guys missed, unfortunately. And
why'd you miss it?
The Perfect Things are about to drop their album. If we can be a part of that, as someone who's a musician, I know the EP and album release shows, those are gigs you remember for all of your life. And as much as I care about audiences and getting butts and seats, I also care about the artists and having them remember and go like, oh my gosh, I came in and that goofy guy in the Hawaiian shirt with the beard, he was really friendly and nice, and the venue staff was so cool, and like the owners were there and they were like hanging out, and the lights were great and the sound was great, and it was a perfect night. That's part of the dream as well, is to make sure that both sides of the stage have an equally enjoyable experience.
You want to make sure the port and the starboard side.
Yes,
of the
the
stage.
port and the starboard side. Yes,
Ben,
good job.
Yes, thank you very much, portmanteau. You're very passionate about this. It it seeps through. You can totally tell. It's very exciting with North Kansas City and things growing. We're going to take a quick break.
Great.
We'll be back more with Ben Wendt here in just a minute here on the Kansas City Podcast.
Sweet.
Well, will you look at this? Today's episode has been brought to you by Colony KC and the Rino. On September 2nd, head to Colony KC for their grand opening of the Colony Handcrafted Ales. This is the brewery expansion led by their amazing brewmaster Rodney Beagle. Plus, the first 50 people through the door get a refillable pint-sized growler, which I believe is a small dog. Growler, like one of those little ones you put in your... Maybe not. Nope, actually, you know what? I take that back. I believe it is a glass. And mark your calendars, because on November 11th, The Atlantic have relocated their EP release show to the Rhino. This show will be huge and is very likely to sell out. For more information, check out Colony KC at colonykc.com or on Facebook, and the Rhino at therhinokc.com or on Facebook as well. And there you have it. Back to the show. Welcome back to the Kansas City Podcast. I'm your host, Cole Limburg. I'm here with Ben Wendt at the Rhino downtown here on 314 Armour Road. Once again, during the break, I went outside. I played 5 songs for Ben. He now is booking me for a Saturday night.
Every Saturday
night, I will be singing covers all night long. I only do covers of Louie Louie, but in all different song styles. So
right. Like
first
you're like
is
Bob
ska.
Dylan. You're like,
yeah.
Louie,
hey!
Hey!
And then we do ska, and then I do my Britney inspiration.
Yep. Right.
You know, and
Rick
so
Ocasek
that's...
from the Cars.
Louie. That's,
yeah.
Yes. So it's just nonstop. I play it 5 times, then I come back next Saturday, and I got 5 more styles of just Louie Louie. So I'm very excited about it. Thank you, Ben, for the opportunity.
Well, hey, you blew me away. You know, sometimes success just speaks for itself.
You know, Louie Louie. Classic. The classic song about that sailor. Is it the sailor? No, La Bamba's about the sailor. It doesn't matter. You know what, Ben?
It's about a guy named Louie.
You know what? You're right. Ben, it is time for the favorite part of the show. It is time for the KC Quiz.
All right.
Ben, KC Quiz, very simple. I'm going to ask you some questions. These are, your life depends on it. They are very important questions. I will award you points for the questions. You know, points are at my discretion. 50 points max. If you have a question, you get a question that you do not like, if you think it is a question that you cannot answer, remember, you can always say, stupid question.
Stupid question.
And then last but not least, you know, folks, if you'd like to add a question to the KC Quiz, just hit me up on Twitter. Send me a question at Cole Limburg, and we will add it to the ever-rotating amount of questions that are available here on the KC Quiz. Ben, we're going to start out real easy for you, all right? Real easy.
How easy?
Kansas City, your favorite place to hang out? My
favorite place to hang out in the entire city.
If you have more than one, that's fine. Remember, I'm awarding points, so you know, points are so important.
Love the original Tapcade in the Crossroads District.
Yeah,
I feel like a little bit of a cheeseball since I've worked with them so much, but I truly go there every year on my birthday with friends, and I love it. They're just such cool people, and the games are fun. Their tap list is absurd. It's definitely one of my favorites. I also love going to the Kansas City Zoo. I am obsessed with sea lions. They're my favorite animals in the world.
Okay.
And my daughter and my wife are friends of the zoo with me.
Okay.
And we go a lot, especially in the summer when my wife is a teacher, so she has summers off, and so my daughter and my wife and I go a lot during the day. And that's
absolutely
really
makes
fun.
Sense. 2 points.
Oh, and Penguin Park.
Not Penguin Park. Not Penguin Park.
I'm losing parts for Penguin Park?
No. I mean, I'm just thinking to myself, you hit it out of the park. You were like Tapcade, the zoo, and then you go Penguin Park. Like, I feel like I have a lot of bad memories at Penguin Park growing up.
It's a mixed bag.
I'm pretty sure when I was a young child, I pooped in the woods at Penguin Park because there were no bathrooms at that time.
There are now.
I know there are now. So, but like when I was a little kid, I remember Oh, yeah.
Isn't that funny? Like,
Grandma took me to Penguin
if you're
Park.
a kid, it's like, just go poop in the woods.
Yeah,
if you did that today, you get arrested.
Well, no, not only
Seems
that,
unfair
I
to
pooped
me.
in the woods, and then I wiped my butt with a leaf.
And the leaf was poison ivy.
No, thank goodness it wasn't,
okay.
but there was just, it was green.
Yeah.
We'll move on. All right, your favorite restaurant that is not barbecue?
Rudy's in Westport. It's a Mexican restaurant. I think it is wildly underrated. I don't really
What do you get there?
understand.
What's your favorite meal?
My favorite thing to get there are the chicken tacos.
Ooh, that sounds good.
They're unbelievable. And then they also have Burrito Dorado, which is the golden burrito. And it
Is that what that's Spanish
yeah.
for? Okay. I thought that was a portmanteau.
And it is a deep fried pork burrito with jalapenos inside of it, and it's magical. I absolutely love Rudy's. I don't want to talk trash on any other places, but there are other Mexican restaurants that frequently get mentioned before it, and I've never quite understood why. I think it's the best.
You think it's the it is the cream of the crop.
Yeah.
As they like to say.
Yeah.
Very important question. How do you feel about rock climbing?
Rock climbing. I think it's a fun activity. I wish I were better
You ever
at
been to
it.
Independence Mountain?
I have not been to
I'm just
Independence
kidding. It
Mountain.
doesn't exist.
Oh, well, then I definitely haven't been there. Wouldn't that have been funny if I had been like, oh, I've been there, and then I'm pretty sure I've been there, and then you're like, it doesn't exist.
Your favorite local brew? Now
Ooh.
this
Beer or brewery?
It doesn't matter. I want it. You can hit all
Sure.
favorite local brew. What do you got?
Sure. So, okay, I mean, like, we all know Boulevard rules, but for the sake of supporting local businesses, I'm going to, like, exclude them.
Okay.
And just mention
So
some
you're
of
taking
the
them off the
smaller ones.
table.
I am.
That's fine.
I believe that Torn Label's Magic, which is their Raspberry Lemon Peel IPA, is one of the finest beers in the city. I also love Cinder Block's Block IPA.
Yeah.
I am a big fan of the... I fairly recently had another Torn Label beer that was amazing. Their barley wine called Rude Awakening. That was brewed for their second anniversary. It's a barley wine aged in Thomastown distillery barrels and has apple brandy notes. It's
You just named off so
phenomenal.
many ingredients I can't keep track.
Yeah. No, it's wild. So yeah, those would probably be my favorites. I also, I'm a Torn Label. I think they might be my favorite brewery in the
Torn
city.
Label?
They're
You're
pretty
going
rad.
Torn Label?
Them or Cinder Block.
All right, this one's a little difficult, especially you, heavily involved guy. Your favorite local event? What's your favorite local event? I mean, there's so much,
goodness.
especially it's summertime. There's a lot of stuff going on. Your favorite?
Well, I live here,
local
so does my
KC
birthday
event?
count?
Yeah, your birthday counts. I guess you
No,
can always say stupid question.
My
Jeez.
favorite local event. I love the Plaza Art Fair.
Yeah.
I think it's wonderful. I think there's so much great art in the city. I love that there's an emphasis on music in addition to visual arts there and culinary arts. Lots of local restaurants selling their stuff there. And I also think the Boulevardia rules. But you know what? I am just filibustering apparently as I realized that the middle of the Map Festival is really special and cool. And I believe 5 or 6 years from now could be on a similar tier with Austin City Limits.
You think so?
I really do. I think that the locations there.
You're an
I think
optimistic
the polls
guy.
there, I am an
You're
optimistic.
a glass half full.
The glass
guy.
is 3/4 full. You're just not looking at it right. No, I mean, I think that like Chris from The Bridge does such an amazing job promoting that and running it, and the Record Machine, and it's just phenomenal. As they've incorporated film into it, it's just really pretty rad. Yeah,
5 points.
5 points.
Well done. That was a good answer. Your favorite barbecue? This is a hot topic one because there's a lot of
So I have this thing called
different,
Mount SmokeMore,
Mount SmokeMore,
which is
it sounds like
Mount,
a drug campaign.
Yeah. Hey, so man,
Smoke more,
go
man.
to the Fish concert and smoke more.
What the hell is Mount Smokemore?
So Mount Smokemore is my Mount Rushmore of Kansas City barbecue.
Oh, here we go.
Okay.
So how many people are Mount Rushmore? 7?
4.
No, okay,
What?
I'm sorry. There's 4.
So
who is your George Washington?
So my George Washington is Oklahoma Joe's, who I believe are the first of the great generation of Kansas City barbecue. So like in this instance, I personally believe Arthur Bryantson Gates, while phenomenal, have been outdone. I believe that
Hot take.
while they're still
It's a hot
absolutely
take
wonderful,
going on right here.
I believe that as should always be the case in everything, I believe that the students have surpassed the masters, and
Ooh.
I believe that Arthur Bryant's and Gates would be the best barbecue restaurants in most cities in the entire world. I don't think they are in Kansas City anymore. So then my George Washington is in fact Oklahoma Joe. So I think is the founding father of that movement. Okay. Next, Abraham Lincoln,
yep.
who I would argue is
16th president.
Our 16th and greatest president.
Yes.
So
yes.
then I therefore
love his hat.
Have to go with. This is a hot take. I believe the most underrated barbecue restaurant in the city, Char Bar.
Char Bar?
Char Bar. I think they have the best chicken, and it's not even close.
And as Abraham Lincoln did, please wax poetic and tell us why Char Bar.
So they have the best chicken. I believe that their pre-constructed sandwiches are, bar none, the best in the city. They have so many pre-constructed sandwiches. It has more of a fixed menu, and I think for that reason alone, it deserves more attention than it has. The tap list is phenomenal. Their tap list is specifically beers that pair well with barbecue, which is an underrated concept.
Yes.
And their sides are out of this world.
Okay.
So
move on. Who's your Clinton?
So then, Bill Clinton, as we all know, part of
Mount Rushmore.
So then, Andrew Jackson would be So a flawed individual who
you have really spent some time on this. I am kind of amazed right now. I'm just going to sit back.
No. So a flawed individual. Wait, or is it Thomas Jefferson? Well, they're both flawed individuals.
They're both flawed.
They both owned slaves. So not to compare this.
Yep,
to,
you just lost it.
Just digging a hole. Just digging a hole. But so Danny Edwards is the bomb. They're only open for lunch,
right.
And so that's their flaw. And I'm not telling them to change their business model. They rule. That's not at all me talking trash. They're amazing. But Danny Edwards are only available for lunch, and that always breaks my heart because every now and then I want to go there for dinner, and it just doesn't work out right. But they're incredible. I think they have the best dollar to value in all of the Kansas City barbecue scene. And then Teddy Roosevelt, the most recent president on Mount Rushmore, a latecomer, but also, not to be underrated, but also one who exudes a certain degree of decadence. He likes to hunt bears and crazy stuff like that. Is Q39, who I think they are the definitive steakhouse of barbecue, in my opinion. And so there you go. That's my Mount SmokeMore.
You have gone out on a limb. I'm going to award you 15 points.
Yes,
that is the highest score I have ever given. You may be hitting the max.
I made up for Penguin Park on that one.
You made up for Penguin Park big time. I'm actually reverse your score there. Okay, that Mount SmokeMore. Thank you, Ben, for that. If somebody listens to this and they do not realize that they've got a lot of options based off of your Mount SmokeMore recommendations. You went above and beyond, sir.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Here you go. I want you to put the following in order.
Okay,
this is a tough one. You are wearing a Chiefs hat today.
Yes.
All right, you ready? Put the following in order.
Yes.
Chiefs, Royals, Sporting.
All right. So, I've got to go Royals.
Mm-hmm.
I got to go Chiefs and then Sporting. I know that I hate that I put Sporting last. I don't like that about myself.
Yeah.
But someone had to go last. It's like, yeah. So it's like Boff, Marry, Kill. You got to kill somebody.
Right.
So, yeah. Royals first, though, no question.
You're going Royals first.
Yep.
Okay. 1 point.
1 point. Also, today, Dom Dwyer got traded. Sorry to, timestamp this, but that's kind of not cool. And so I'm low on Sporting today.
That's not.
Sorry to timestamp this.
All right. Next question. The best current local Kansas City band.
Oh, wow.
This is going to be a tough one for you.
This is really hard because I'm just so passionate about
this. I know. So give me 5. Give me your top.
Okay.
No, you know what? No, don't do another Mount SmokeMore on me.
No.
I want you to pick.
I'll go faster. I have to pick one.
One.
Oh, my gosh. Wow.
I might allow 2.
It's really just exceptionally hard.
I know.
So
that's why it's the KC quiz.
So I do think that 2 bands that I think are just crazy stars on the rise are Mess and Faint Heart. I think both of those bands are just beautiful, wonderful, stock, rising. Oh my goodness, this is really, really hard.
You're struggling over here.
Yeah,
because I think if we just sat back for a minute, you would list about 25 bands.
I probably would.
One more. Give me one more. One more. If people were online right now, who should they go look up?
Quintessential. Yeah, I think I just have to go with my friend Rachel Mallon's band, Rachel Mallon and the Wild Type. I just think they're phenomenal. I think that the way they keep evolving their sound is beyond admirable. I had the pleasure of filling in with them once on guitar at Power and Light when they opened for Metric, and that was one of the coolest nights of my entire life. They just rule. They're awesome. Rachel is an amazing songwriter. Everybody in the band is cool. Justin and Ace, the rhythm section, are really underrated and tight. So I got to go with them. I'm a little biased because I'm friends with them, but they really are super crushing it.
Fantastic. All right, big question here. NBA or NHL?
NHL. I'm a massive Pittsburgh Penguins
So you want the
fan.
Blades?
Well, yeah. So like right around the year 2000, Mario Lemieux was actually leveraging Kansas City to help build the new arena in Pittsburgh, and supposedly they were maybe going to come to Kansas City, and I was losing my mind. So yeah, it's NHL, but I do think, if I'm being really frank, I think NBA might thrive a little bit more in this city. But
really, why do you think that? I mean, you know, we got the Jayhawks not far away. I mean, basketball's alive and thriving. I mean, the NBA comes and plays at the Sprint Center every now and then.
Yes.
And, I mean, it's
so
just...
my big thing would be actually kind of what you just said. I think that, especially because of the energy around. Really, it's the three Kansas teams currently. Right. I mean, Missouri has not had a good basketball team for a while now. So, I mean, between the Jayhawks and the Wildcats and the Shockers, there's a real passion for basketball. And I don't believe that that is college exclusive. I think that that would spread to the other sports. And I think that there are enough people living in the greater Kansas City area that, like, for example, right now, when Mizzou doesn't have a good basketball team, those fans could focus a little bit more on NBA. And then if at some point the KU legacy dips a little bit, then like
it will never dip.
I know you're an alum. I know you are. I said if, but if it does, then I think those fans could focus a little bit more on the NBA. And I think there's enough people who just like basketball in general. It would sustain a little bit better. But I personally am definitely in the NHL camp.
1 point.
1 point. Because I proposed the possibility of the Jayhawks maybe having a slight decline one time.
You're exactly right. We got 3 more questions. Next one, very important question.
Yes.
A lot of people ask me this about all the time. I want your take on this. Do clowns have souls? And I'm not talking about their shoes.
Oh, okay. I was thinking.
Yeah. I have to make that.
Rubber soul.
I have to make that clarification. Do clowns have souls?
They do, but
we are going to have a clown on the podcast eventually.
Hear me out. This is what's really weird. So then when a clown dies, their specific face makeup is retired. Like when Bozo the Clown died or retired, like no one could
he's probably not alive.
No one can ever use his face makeup ever again. Like if you like,
who's enforcing that? Is that like the clown committee?
There's like a clown society. They're based in France.
Well, based in France.
Yeah.
But like if I went,
they're a global
Bozo's...
clown society.
Yeah, but if I put
if
Bozo's
you wanted to be a
right
legitimate
now...
clown, you'd be shunned. It's like stealing jokes in the comedian community, and so like, right? So like, here's my thing: is
I'm sorry, I was not expecting your passion for clowning to come through.
I think they have souls, but I think that something happens, and when they die, they haunt their makeup.
So if I was to put Bozo's makeup on right now, I would like, and in the Bozo style, I would end up like it would take away a part of my soul.
That would be like I don't think
like am I
that.
putting
Let's not be ridiculous.
Oh, okay.
But I do think that the clown community would think of you as deeply disrespectful.
0 points. Okay. 2 questions left. Big one, big picture here. What is Kansas City missing right now? What do we need? What's
legitimate public transportation? We're taking strides in the right direction.
Yeah.
I mean, especially south of the river, but like something that comes to just north of the river as well would be good. But we are absolutely lacking solid transportation. We have so many cool things that are going on right now that are based around sales of alcohol that we need to make sure that people are
when you can't drive
safe
to and from
right,
them.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's a problem. That's a legitimate problem. Also, like when the Sprint Center clears out of a really big show, it's madness, especially if it's a Saturday night and Power and Light's already busy. And then, then Green Day gets done at the Sprint Center and everybody clears out, and it's chaos. It's absolute chaos. We need legitimate public transportation if we want to go to that next tier on a national level, if we want to be thought of that way.
Last question. Very important. This is the Google challenge.
Oh.
The Google Challenge. Okay, the Google Challenge is pretty simple. I have written something into Google, okay, and you are going to fill in the final word.
Yes.
Okay? So the thing is I wrote in rhinos are fill in the blank. Now you have to be, you got to be strategic about this, okay? What is the Google machine going to say? What is that last part of their rhinos? And of course you were at the Rhino. Now, but I typed in rhinos like
with an
the
H.
animal with the
Yeah.
H. So rhinos are fill it in. Think about this. Lots of points on the line.
Is this based on other people's Google searches?
Yeah, like if you just typed in Google right now and you typed in rhinos are, what's Google going to autofill at the
I
end?
think people in general use Google to ask questions that are like a little embarrassed to ask.
Okay.
So I'm going to say, hold on.
You can do this. Rhinos are.
Oh, you know what?
Great radio right now.
You know what? I know this is thrilling radio. I gotta say, because I'm playing to win. Rhinos are horny because it works on 2 levels, and I think it works with the Google question.
You were working towards the right way. Horny, I believe, is one of them, but it's rhinos are fat unicorns.
Ah! They have 2 horns.
Yeah.
They're bicorns.
Well, I mean, people don't know that. That's because they're like, rhinos
That's
are
true. They're
fat
getting
unicorns.
on Google. At least they're trying to educate themselves.
Ben, I'm going to add up your points here. You did have that big 15-pointer
Yes.
in there. Math, carry the 1, y equals mx plus b. Your grand total, I think this may be the new highest. You were at 48 points. 48 points. Ben, thank you for playing the Casey quiz.
It was my pleasure, legitimately.
All right, Ben, we're nearing the end of our time, sir. I know you've got a lot of dates coming up.
Sure.
Or new shows coming up at the Rhino. You want people to come out on the Monday nights. Come out tonight. See open mic night.
Yeah, no matter what, Monday night, come out to the Song Lab, 7:30 every Monday. If you play, you get a free drink. Come hang out. It's going to be amazing. We've got some concerts coming up. So, one that I'm incredibly excited about. 3 of my favorite Greater Kansas City area bands are all playing together. Faint Heart, Kudo, and the Dear Misses on September 16th. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, Perfect Things are doing their album release the night before on the 15th. I'm also in the process of putting together a Halloween show that's going to be called Night of the Living Dead, and we are going to have a lineup comprised entirely of defunct Kansas City bands who are reuniting for one night.
Very nice.
And check our social media and stuff. I can't quite say who the bands are just yet, but if all goes as planned, it's going to be a ridiculous lineup. I couldn't be more excited about. Like us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, etc. And if you ever want to reach out to
Rhino,
me,
R-I-N-O.
that's correct, because it is a portmanteau.
That's right.
R-I-N-O for River North. Please come check us out. We're located. We're one and the same with Colony, Espresso, and Beer, who are, as the time this is recorded, going to be having our own brewed beer. We're going to be a full functional brewery. We're going to have a kitchen, everything. It's a one-stop shop for just a really cool evening. If you want to reach out to me directly, you can reach out to me at Ben Wendt is a writer at gmail.com. I just wanted to be
beautiful,
really frank there. And then also at Rhino Radio at gmail.com. RINO Radio at gmail.com.
Perfect. Ben, thank you so much for being on the show. If you want to find me...
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, absolutely. If you want to find me at Cole Limburg, make sure you check out our website, thekansascitypodcast.com. Rate, subscribe, tell your friends. Tell us if you think you know someone that should be on the show. We've got a lot more interviews coming up in the coming weeks with a lot of really fascinating, exciting people. Ben, thank you so much, sir.
Yes, thank you.
And we will see you guys next week. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Bye.
Hey everyone, Cole here. Thanks again for listening to the show. We are growing week by week by week. Tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell your mother, tell your dog. I don't care. Please continue to share the show, comment, like our pages, and if you feel so inclined, write us a review. We will actually be back on Thursday for a special bonus episode. We'll see you then.